Hello, everybody. I'm Erica Desper, the founder of the Confident Parenting Collective, where we try to bring excellent resources, local resources together for parents who are navigating the special education journey or a child with learning differences, disabilities. And tonight we're going to talk about school placement, the basics, the options, and we have two rock stars with us, Cris Fick and Becky Harlan, both education advocates and more. And we're super appreciative of their time and expertise. So without further delay, I will kick it over. Tell us all the things we need to know about choosing a school or being placed in one.
Thanks for having us. Of course, there we go. My name's Cris, and I'm an advocate and the owner of Fick Educational Services. And
I'm Becky. I am also an advocate at Fick Education, and I'm also on my school board and coach bill.
So we are joining you tonight to share about school options and how to help educate you on what the different types of schools are. This is primarily focused around Pennsylvania. These are the goals of the evening, and you should be able to, by the time we are done, we are going to describe the options available for students when it comes to Pennsylvania, and especially those with an IEP. We're going to elaborate on the benefits of available schools and structure of public school options for your child, and start a discussion and share stories with families in the area. So we'll make sure that we talk about some stories where we've helped students that we have worked for be able to get into different school environments or coach parents to be able to do that. And Becky, if you just want to rotate here.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm having trouble with the slide. There we go.
Okay. So options for students with special education needs. Your neighborhood school may be the closest, but that's not the only viable option out there. There's public, charter, and magnet. There's private, there's homeschooling, and then there's specialized schools.
Yep, and then we put a link in the box here, and with email addresses, we will email whoever would like this PowerPoint. We'll email it to you, but this is a link that gives you some information about the different types of school options for kids with special needs. So what does public school mean? It does not only mean your neighborhood school. So it doesn't only mean like Westchester School District, Downingtown School District. It includes magnet schools and charter schools. And the reason that it is those are considered public schools are that anything that is anything that is labeled a public school has to be free and has to provide public education services. So they must provide a free, appropriate public education, and they follow curricula and program guidelines. So they are called to the task of state guidelines, and any of these would be considered free because they fall in the wheelhouse of public school. We're going to take some time and do some comparisons of various schools. So the public school benefits, we'll do some benefits and pros and cons. If you want to do this one, Becky, we'll just go back to her.
Benefits of the public school is there's no cost. They're legally required to teach your child, which is FAPE, local and part of your neighborhood, many activities with other kids they already may know, and free evaluations if suspected of a learning difficulty. The downside is funding varies by district. They have larger class size, inflexible curricula, and may not have specially trained staff on hand.
So just to give you a visual, what counts as a public school, like your neighborhood school, this would be a chart of Chester County, just because we're going to share with you examples for each type of school.
Did you want me to? Yeah, okay. I didn't know if that counted the math. So
I got the easy one.
charter or magnet school. So the benefits of that is it's no cost, still a public school. They are still required to offer FAPE, often more specialized than neighborhood schools and frequently smaller class sizes. The downside may not be as local. Programs may not be a good fit for your child, might be more difficult to work. You know what? I'm sorry. I have to well, and there we go. Now I can see. Might be more difficult to work school personnel, and admission is not guaranteed. Most often, they use a lottery. And can I just really quickly, you don't have to go back. Just one of the things that I think is important to know about charter schools, and I'm only speaking of charter schools because I don't know if it's true for magnet, but charter schools do not get funding from the state for gifted. So your Collegium and Avongrove, they do not offer gifted support. So if your student has a GIEP, they will not honor that GIEP. They'll do what they can, but it's not the same as being in a public school, like your home district, sorry, because it is still considered a public school.
Interesting. You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
See?
they don't get funding for that.
Good to know. We don't serve a lot of the gifted public
Right.
population, but it is good to know. We have helped some families, but that's good to know. So what we did here was just try to put an example of these different types of schools so that when you're thinking public, charter, magnet, you know, as we mentioned, this is just one. We're just mentioning this one to be an example, but Collegium would be an example of your charter school in Chester County, a charter school in Chester County. A magnet school, little bit different, similar. Downingtown considers STEM a magnet school. So it's still public funded. It's a part of the district program. So a magnet school is part of a district program. You see a lot of magnet schools in Philadelphia. And while STEM, you have to qualify, it's not necessarily a lottery. In Philadelphia, a lot of the magnet schools are lotteries. So it just depends. But again, we're just trying to make an understanding of those different types of schools, but they are paid for, they, you know, offer FAPE. You would have to apply, and Downingtown wouldn't necessarily, the STEM Academy wouldn't necessarily take every kid with an IEP. It would depend what the services are, if they could support your child.
Homeschooling benefits, full control of educational experience and environment. Think private therapy during day as a possibility. No bullying, testing, anxiety, etc. Most individualized education possible. May still receive therapy support and resources from school district. Can still participate in district clubs and sports. The downside is time consuming for family, can be isolating socially. Scope may go beyond parental experience and resources, and record keeping can be onerous.
Yeah. So, I was just going to say, I'm just going all the wrong way. There we go. I was just going to say, this is one thing. We also do consultations for homeschooling, and I have done homeschool evaluations for 25 years. So I'm very familiar with PA law and how you can get high school diplomas as a homeschooler. And so we put this in here because it is a way that you can educate in Pennsylvania. And while some people might think like a PALCS University Scholars, that is a charter school, but you're homeschooling, doing school at home certain days of the week. This is total homeschooling, what we're sharing on this slide. So this would be independent, and you do have rights to some public services. And it can vary what districts will be willing to even give you beyond what they have to give you, just depending on your district. So, okay. Okay, so specialized schools. This is going to be your schools that specialize in certain children's disabilities. The benefits are you can focus on your child's disability, including employing educators with expertise in that area. Your child may meet more children similar to them than in a public school, often more receptive to parental involvement, curriculum that fits your child's needs, typically more one-on-one support for children. And this isn't always, so none of these statements are always, but the downsides could be that the specialized school for your child's specific disability may not be near you, not local, often very expensive, not bound by the same laws as the public education. So FAPE does not always apply in a specialized school, may not expose your child to a diverse group of children, and may have limited extracurricular activities, programs like gym, art, sports, and clubs. And to give you an example, that would be Benchmark School. So it is a private school that specializes in a certain type of child, a certain type of need. And this would not be funded by your district. The only way you could get something like this funded by your district would be to get a settlement agreement from your school district. So this isn't something that would, this type of school would not be written into your IEP because they're not what we consider an approved private school.
State-approved private schools. Benefits must follow your child's IEP. Local school district still held accountable, paid for by the district. Smaller class sizes, individualized education, specialized staff. The downside is every student tends to have the same needs, must be placed by the district, complex process, and cannot private pay.
Yeah. So this would be an example of like a pathway school. So these schools are approved private schools in the state of Pennsylvania. We have an actual list. It's on the Pennsylvania Department of Ed. There's a directory that you can look up the order, the ABC order of these schools. And we just use pathway as an example. We're not saying we're pro, like there are superior one or anything. We're just trying to give examples so you can understand and remember the differences. This one will keep your IEP, and this is one where your district personnel, your district LEA will continue to attend the IEP meeting with the pathway team with you at Pathway. Or at Timothy School. Those are, that is still a responsibility of the school district. And if something happens that Pathway could no longer provide, it's still a part of an IEP. So then the district needs to work to find another place. So, some other examples on the list, I had said the Timothy School, the Vanguard School, the Devereaux Schools, the Easter Seals, Fairwold Academy, the Martin Luther School, the Camp Hill School, Davidson, Elwyn. So just to give you some ideas of some other approved private schools.
What makes an effective school? Inclusive environment among peers and educators, integrated class and activities, effective academic and emotional monitoring of child, willing to listen to your child. And then we included a website for you to go and look at for some tools and engagement and things like that.
Yeah, so now that we've talked about the different types of schooling, specifically in the state of Pennsylvania and how funding works, these are some good key things to look for. The National Education Association wrote an article about effective schools, and we just summarized what is considered an effective school from that article. Why inclusive classrooms matter. So while you're also thinking about school placement, we want to be thinking about inclusive classrooms. Differentiated instruction can help all students. Diversity of students is productive for socialization. High expectations can lead to high achievement and exposure to multiple types of learning and teaching. So the more inclusive you have in classrooms, you do get more diversity overall in the programming and the peers. And again, this comes from the 4 benefits of inclusive classrooms article.
ways to be placed in a different school, document communications and current school progress, research potential schools, speak with experts in districts, including advocates and specialists, prove public school cannot provide what is needed via documentation IEP, private pay, except to approve private schools if you are able and willing.
Yeah. And that's a big one, because I actually had a family who wanted an approved private school and called them and really wanted to pay. And when they came to me, they had told me this had occurred because they hadn't understood that you can't private pay to your approved private schools, because they are still, connected to the IEP. So, yeah. So, while the goal was to teach you guys about the different types of schools and how to figure out the school for your child, that would be the $1 million question. And Becky and I would be really, really wealthy if you could just call us and in 2 minutes we could tell you, like, just send your kid there and it's going to be great for the rest of their schooling, right? And Jamie's like, I would pay it. So what we wanted to do is, like, the reality is we can't. We really got to take time, get to know your kid, get to know the paperwork that's with your child. We like to observe the children in their school environment currently. We do surveys with parents and talk to them. But how could we help you tonight in helping you try to get that process started? So how do you research for a potential school? These are some ideas of the things we came up with. You schedule a tour of the school you're looking for, that you want to investigate. And I would do it for multiple, and you can do it any time of the year. Review statistics on the class size, their scores, their programs, meet with the admissions teams and administrators to overview concerns and process. I've had multiple clients take me to Vanguard, Woodland, Centerville, and actually go and meet, and Becky has as well, like, go and meet with the admissions team. And it really is helpful the more you share and just get transparent and be direct right away. Like, if your child has behaviors, say it right away so you don't waste any time. If they're not going to take behaviors or if they can't really meet that math need. Want to share the IEP and 504 with the school to ensure they can meet the needs of your child. Speak with any other families there. Use the internet to network. I know that a lot of us are on the Facebook groups, right? Erica's groups, even specifically, where we can ask other parents their experiences, or even put names of schools, finding a safe place where you can ask people for their true opinion. But I also warn you, if somebody says that school was horrible for my son last year, to really, private message them and find out why it was horrible. Because what could be horrible for one kid is not horrible for another. And that's where it gets really hard when folks call us and just say, what's the best private school? Where should I send my kid? Even if money didn't matter. And we say, this is too complicated. We can't just answer that right away. So, get everybody's opinion and then kind of make your pros and cons list, but use the internet to help you. Have conversations with the potential teachers to check if it's a good fit. I'll tell you a little secret. When I go on observation or when I go on tours with my clients of schools, I literally remember one time I went to this school and we were getting the tour and they were sharing tons of information with the mom and dad about the school. And I was literally peeking in every window as we went down the hallway. And I figured out what class that child would be with the next year. And I peeked in the room to try to catch a glimpse. Now it's just a glimpse, but I was finding information just from that tour, like who would be their peers. It might not be all of them, but in a smaller school, it would probably be very similar. So things like that can be really helpful.
Summarizing the school placement options and decisions. Understand the different types of schools in your area. Determine the criteria you are looking for considering your child's situation. Document your case for needing a different school. Speak with experts, and every situation is unique. And I think that that's important because a lot of times I've had families who come to me and they're like, well, this, my friend, her daughter goes here, has the same thing that my son has, and it's going to be a perfect fit. No disability is the same just because it has the same name. Everything is different. So I think that that's important. You know, what works for one might not work for the other one. And so I think that that's important to understand too.
Great. And so the quote we wanted to put, if you have a choice of where your child will attend school this year, start by asking yourself this one question: in which learning environment will my child feel the least amount of stress? Because that is likely the setting where they will have the highest chance of learning. And we can't accentuate that enough, that our primary goal is to have a healthy, happy child within their environment. Because when we're limiting anxiety and stress and finding that environment that they feel safest, they're going to have a much higher level of learning. But also, I always say, even as an educator, I say it's very easy to fix academics that are broken, much easier, I should say, than some of the emotional things that can become broken in your children. So, you know, I think that this quote I felt was really helpful in just putting into perspective, and that there is no school that's going to be perfect for every single part of what your child wants or needs. But again, make your pros and cons list, kind of level up what's most important to least important. Get as many of those items as you can in that list of the school, and then figure out where you can supplement the other things that aren't happening if possible. So as a team at FES, go ahead, Becky.
No, that's okay. Go ahead. You can.
Okay. We do advocacy. We have tutoring of all ages and all abilities. We have everything from special needs tutoring, specialized reading, math instruction, SAT prep. We've helped college students get nursing boards passed. We do every age and every level. We have social skills programs. We also offer executive function and study skills programs, the SAT prep course, and we do homeschool evaluations as well. We're a team of educators, professionals, retired teachers, teachers who are looking for extra work. We have a pharmacist on the team who does our chemistry. So we have a diverse group of educators teaching or doing any of these items here. So if you're interested in learning more, this is the phone number to reach out to us, or the website, the email if you want to send us an email. All right. Well, I think that's good. Did it feel productive, helpful?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure people have so many questions, but obviously Cris and Becky know their stuff. If you have more questions than what we were able to get to tonight, just go find them. I think you mentioned, but I just wanted to emphasize that you guys do offer a complimentary 15-minute call.
Yes.
So I assume you're trying to help families, you know, if you can answer a quick question, you can, or you
Yes.
can use that call to say, like, this really, we're really going to need a longer conversation. Obviously you're out to help people. So I would encourage everybody to take advantage of that if they have more questions. And we're so appreciative. You know, we have an awesome parent group, and they're always super appreciative of any information we can get to them. So I know that they'll love this.
Great.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
having us.
Thank you so
Everybody
much.
for coming.
You're
Enjoy
welcome.
the
Have a
rest of
great
your
night.
Thank you
and
guys.
we'll be
Have a
back
good night.
soon. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.